kitchen chaos to well-oiled machines. Get ready for newfangled technology and old-school know-how. Stories and a good bit of fun. I'm Simon, and this is Culinary Mechanic. Joining me today is Cijoy Olickal. You are the COO of GM Pilot. Welcome to Culinary Mechanic, Cijoy.
Thank you, Simon. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm stoked. I was reading through some information on you and cyber stalking you a little bit this morning, and
Awesome.
yeah, it is what it is. And the words process came in and tinkerer and I thought to myself, boy, you are right in my wheelhouse. So I am
Mhm.
super excited to talk to you.
Yeah.
Um, why don't you just tell us some origin story stuff, man?
Yeah.
How'd you get here?
So I got into the industry, the restaurant industry, about almost 13 years ago. I was a management consultant before that, road warrior, bouncing around the US, Europe, Asia, and all that stuff. I had a daughter who was approaching about 6 or 7 years old, and she was struggling with me being gone all the time, and I couldn't do it anymore, being away from her. So started up being that I lived in Dallas and started hunting around Dallas looking for someone to talk to that would probably take me on as an employee. I had zero networks whatsoever in Dallas, so it's like the big companies at the time were J.C. Penney, Southwest
Oh,
Airlines,
wow.
and Brinker International. And fortunately enough, I got recommended by someone I knew to talk to the recruiter. Recruiter said, "We don't need any more applicants for this role, but the person that recommended you is someone I trust, so I'll put you in as kind of the last minute candidate." Fast forward a couple weeks, and next thing you know, I'm in front of the chief people officer, Valerie, who I call my fairy godmother. It was her that allowed me into the industry. And
Nice.
I said, look, let me give you the reasons why you shouldn't hire me. And I know absolutely nothing about your industry. It's like I've never worked a kitchen, never bust a table. I don't even think I knew those words at the time I met her either. It's like I've never worked in the restaurant industry. I don't know a thing about it. But I'm motivated to be a dad. I'll do whatever it takes. You give me 30 days, I'll learn it. I'll work night and day, every day for no pay, whatever it takes. I just want to, fulfill my desire to be a present dad. And she's like, look, I love your passion. Um, I'm going to put you in the restaurant and you're going to learn it, but I'm going to pay you for it. I said, okay, that works for me. So started soon after that, jumped in, did my time in Chili's. I swear
Oh,
it was
wow.
first time in a kitchen, and lunch rush happens and I'm getting dizzy watching everybody move around me. They took the knife away from me because they're like, yeah, you're going to kill yourself making, cutting avocados here. So watched it sun up to sundown, kind of sat with the GM, who's now, I think he's a VP of operations for Maggiano's, and Ernest Perez, great guy. I said, Ernest, I don't know how you do it. It's like I came from management consulting in Fortune hundreds, and you've got no idea who's going to show up to work, what kind of state of mind they're going to show up in. You have no idea who's going to walk in through the front door as your customer or your guest. You have no idea what your suppliers are going to drop off either. I say, how do you deal with it? And so he coached me through that, and he said, look, that's how I turn around buildings. It's like I go in, I look at there's leaders that are leading in the direction that we want them to lead, and there's also leaders leading in the opposite of that direction as well too. So all I need to do is come in, identify the people who are leading in the wrong direction, and promote them to guest. And when I do that, everything takes care of itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that is really deeply insightful, because in the corporate world I came from, it's all about, keep cultivating your A players and keep investing in them. His point of view was like, they're going to take care of themselves. They're natural leaders. Just get out of their way.
Yeah.
Let them be great. And learned that lesson. Did my time at Chili's, and I did another week at Maggiano's, which was with sous chef Pierre. Oh man, yeah, I see him, but and again, he was a French chef. I mean, we are literally from southern France, trained in a Michelin star restaurant, and he was like, what are you doing in my kitchen?" Right? And rightfully so. It's his territory. You got an IT nerd walking around, trying to understand how the things worked. But he showed me the ropes, how everything worked in that type of a kitchen that did catering as well as, table service. Oh, sorry, banquets as well as table service, and it was amazing to watch and learn from that. But um, one of those things that happened there is that their POS system failed on them during Thanksgiving service the year before.
Oh, there's a lump in
So
my throat. Sorry.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, oh,
So I was
oh,
like, I was kind of surprised because again, I came from a world where that kind of thing is doesn't happen. I mean, it happens, but it gets serious attention and a lot of focus to get that right. Well, that happened. This was about September that I'm going through, and obviously Thanksgiving's coming up in like 6 weeks or so, and uh, or it was like 6 to 8 weeks. Thanksgiving's coming up. Software vendor will remain nameless, but then who they are was like, "It's your fault. It's not ours. You signed up for software that was beta. Your predecessor did anyway." I said, "Look, you're shipping me stuff that doesn't work at all, and that's not gonna. I'm not gonna stand for it." So, really cool. The current chief operating officer of Red Lobster, Larry Konecki, he was with me. He was the district or DO for Maggiano's. I said, Larry, I need a test platform. So they closed they closed one restaurant at night. We ran updated software with everybody on staff, just beating the crap out of the system and just ran it. Somewhere in the archives, there's video of those printers just running nonstop, dropping orders in. So we ran it at like 3, 4 times the volume of transactions, but that's what it took to one, fix the system and regain confidence in the group that hey, I'm right here with you. I am sorry that this all failed you last year, but we're not going to let that happen again. That's my word of promise to you guys,
right.
and that's been with me ever since then. When I saw what happened to him, dude, this was imagine a Thanksgiving dinner service where everyone's hustling, bustling, and system goes down. A server threw his apron across the room and walked out because he knew after all that hard work, he's not getting a single tip
Right.
from anybody that night. And yeah, so it was just awful. I think it was a 60K night or something immense, right? And I was just, it's like, no, not on my watch. We can't have that.
Ah,
Yeah.
see there, right there. I deem you honorary restaurant material if you haven't already been.
Yeah.
That for me is what kind of, yeah, it's what sets a lot of hospitality folks apart is that
Mhm.
there is no like, oh, okay, we're done. Like you don't
Yeah.
stop. The guest doesn't understand. They don't give a shit.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
I think the I'm going to achieve, we're gonna get through. I'm not gonna let that happen, right? I think that
Yeah.
that really plays on the processes and the systems that go into it all. But I think that it's just a mindset, right? Of like taking care of business. And I, for one, am one of those people that says, if you've never worked in a restaurant, man, go work in a restaurant, even if it's a few weeks, right?
Right.
But understanding like all the pieces that go into it, all these like really amazing skills that a great chef or a great GM has to have, right? To be
Mhm.
able to do it. And it's like, it's only after 3 decades of doing all this that I now look back and go, oh, wait, hey, a chef is a great marketer, right? They are great at branding. Why? Because they do the same thing every day, every day,
Mhm.
every day. And that's what you start to look up how to build a brand. And that's what it
Yeah.
is, right? And
Yeah.
so, just all these psychological things that happen within the day, all these amazing little things, that pieces that get put together. um I just love it. I love that you've been able to take a different piece of a career and bring it to the restaurant industry. So
Right.
after all that, like, what's your favorite part about the restaurant side of things?
Honestly, the sitting at a table, uh, watching watching the show, right? Watching
Nice.
people deliver. And I some of the brands I've been with, because of what I learned day one, go work in the building. Every brand I engaged with, whether I was consulting or an employee, I'm going parking myself in the corner of the restaurant, just watching how the mood swings, how the vibe of the customers are, what people are interacting with, how they're going about their day, which informs me on, what kind of information do they need? How are they making decisions? What beliefs are they building up about the tech or the data that's in front of them, and how are they applying that to the decisions they're making and the results they're getting from running the business, right?
Right.
From the individuals, from the hey, I think my tax withholdings are wrong. I mean, again, I was fortunate that I had lots of people in the building that trusted me, and they would open up and say these things, and they said, I don't want to be a pain. It's like, no, the HR team is here to help you. Like, that's something you can go do. If you don't have access to do it on your phone, let's get a laptop. If you don't have one, let's go find something, talk to the GM, let's get this sorted out.
Right.
But you got really humble people in these buildings that are, they need help, right? It's like we need their help, they need our help. And that's what I appreciated the most, is I could just go sit in the building and no one cared that I was a C level, or whatever. Like, cool, don't I like being incognito, right?
Nice.
I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
in the corner. Um, I would love to go to restaurants where they didn't know who I was, so that no, sir, I could feel service as the way everybody else does, so I can get a feel
Right.
for how it is, right? And what could be better.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I did not get into the restaurant business to spend all my time in a cramped little office. I love being in the kitchen, out on the floor. And if you're nodding your head right now, I want to introduce you to an amazing company called Starfish. Look, I've gotten to know their CEO, Jordan, recently, and what they're building really impresses me. They're using AI to read your P&L, and they're going to email you actionable insights every week so you can lower your costs and increase revenue. Best part is you don't have to spend time digging through your P&Ls, poring over reports in that cramped little office. Starfish is going to do that for you so you can get back to the part of the business that you love. If you're interested, go to their website, use starfish.com. That's USE starfish.com. And tell them Simon sent you. Absolutely. All right. So clearly, great entry into it. I love the fact that the chief people officer identified passion. I, for one, I'm into like making sure that life and work are integrated. Like the commitment to being a dad is super. That's awesome. I don't have children myself, but like
Mhm.
I'm into anybody who wants to prioritize something, whether that's
Okay.
for me, it's like time with my wife, right?
Okay.
Whatever that
Yep.
is, family or
Mhm.
whatever. I know one guy who's like this crazy rugby guy, and all he lives
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
is to get out of work and go work out and like run and then like hit other people with his
Hit
body
people.
on the rugby field, right? And like that's important to him. So like let's do
Yep.
that. I think it it
Mhm.
um it invigorates the soul so that you can go in and like make money and do the things that allow you to have fun. So, um, how does all of that lead
Mhm.
you to GM Pilot?
So yeah, it's every bit of that, every bit of emotion and pain and suffering that I felt, and I felt on behalf of the GMs and the other employees, all were in the background in that moment of. It was actually made out of a moment of anger. It wasn't really made out of oh, this is the good thing to do. No, it was a moment of, this is just wrong. Like, everything is just wrong. This is all going to fail on on itself, because, like, for me, just thinking about how you take what's going on in this current moment. And if you run that scenario forward like a couple of years, like what is this? How does it play out? It's something I did in consulting. That's part of like the core of what I was doing there. And when I was running this scenario of looking at what's going on with the backup house systems, what's going on with the tenure of our GMs, and the how much younger they are in terms of experience, not just age, but experience. And they may not necessarily have culinary degrees like they used to, like 20 some odd years ago. So they're not coming in with a finance class or an econ class under their belt. They don't have, so less experience, let's say, less
Yeah.
formally trained on back office stuff, right? On corporate function things. And then the systems are getting more complicated because, let's face it, software companies have to add more capabilities. That's an expectation from the shareholders. The employees want to build more stuff, so there's more and more stuff coming into it. I saw that from the world I came from Oracle and SAP. They start off, fairly useful products, and eventually become so complex that it's very difficult and very expensive to get people to run them. And I was seeing that same type of pattern happen here in the in kind of the chain restaurant world. And then the business is not the same as what it used to be. Like, at one point in time, bar business and carry out business was kind of minor for
Yeah.
uh, for the chains out there, right? Now all of a sudden the carry out business is the business in some cases.
Yeah.
So that means you're not getting carry out from your own phone line or your website. You're getting it from 4 or 5 different channel partners that are firing in orders all over the place. You've got a catering business. You got all these things going on, and I'm like, this is not going to work. And that's my attitude was, this is just going to be a fail. Uh, the GMs are going to buckle under all this workload, and more are going to quit. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen GMs walk out because we try to train them on one more product, and they're just like, you know what, forget it. I can go do something else with my life. I don't have to deal with this much
Right.
tech complication. And so again, that's steaming in the background. And I said, well, let me at least take away, not at least, but it was more like labor scheduling was something where I know that's the last thing we want to do at the end of a shift is sit down, spend an hour or so trying to really understand like how to make the best shift happen for the next schedule. And what do? We just end up copying and pasting. Um, even me at the end of just busting tables, if I sit in front of a computer, my eyes are glazed, right? Not glassed over.
Totally.
Yeah. So I'm
Totally.
like, no one's gonna sit there and look at this screen and do it. Yeah, the product works great. No disrespect to the products. The products are great. It's the who's got the time, the energy, and the motivation to really sit down and do it right because there's this job, there's 10 other things from every upstream department that's hitting me for information. So all that stuff flows into the GM. So I said,
Yeah.
look, we got to take work off the GM. We've been promising to do that. We're not doing it. So let me go and do this. Let me go and take the workload of writing a schedule away. That's a perfect thing for me to take away from a GM because it's something that can be done because there's a process, a well-known process to it. It's repeatable, and it can get as sophisticated as you want if you define the process well. Now, not to say that we're replacing any software. No, we're just going to get in and do it for them.
Oh
So,
wow.
because trying to say, hey, we're going to change your software, that's not the solution. It's
Right.
a new platform has not never been the answer for a lot of these things. It's just fundamental. You got to have a good user that's willing to use it. So let's go and make that good user. Well, let's make that super user really. And I came from a world of, outsourcing to different countries and stuff. So obviously that was a very quick decision in my head. No, that's not going to work. Not for what we're
Right.
doing here.
Right.
It's not it's not the right approach. But I did have, at this point about 25 plus years of building really robust automations. So I said, this is something that I can wrap my head around. I have all this experience. Let me apply it to something that I know, in the restaurant, which is around managing labor. So let me
Right.
just do that for them. So that was the initial thought process. Hey, what if I log into, you name it, scheduling engine, and I go in and I act like a GM and I go build a really optimized schedule. And uh, a good friend, Ingrid, who has been about 40 years in the industry, she's like, so Joy, that's great. But what would be really good is if you can figure out where people don't follow the schedule. And that was kind of a gut punch. I'm like, man, that's hard work. That's really like
Yeah.
that's a really complicated technical problem to solve. And it took me a minute to go, Ingrid, that means I got to go to the POS. I got to go and get the time clock data. I got to go to the schedule and grab the schedule. And I got to look at every single one of these things to see when was this person supposed to be in? What time did they come in for real? What time did they leave? When did they take their breaks? Who was the manager when these things were happening that should have been giving oversight? Who didn't show up to work today? Who did show up when they weren't scheduled? And who didn't work the shift they were given? Like who left early? Like it's like it just I didn't even realize that that's all the richness that you can pull out of this. We started with just the let me just see who's overworked, this and that. And the first customer we got, we spoke to them, and about 30 days later, they're like, "We want to pay you because this is a big savings for us." And I didn't think that this feature was going to be much of anything. But what we found is that if you're running over a million in revenue in a building, there's about 3% of your bottom line is disappearing to all these little things like buddy punching, clock milking, all the rest. I did not think
Yeah.
it was gonna be 3%. I didn't even think it was gonna be 1%. But finding 3%, trying to change the game. Like, wait a second, if you eliminate these things, then you're dropping
Yeah.
real money to the bottom line without impacting anybody. And looping all the way back to my day one, back with Ernest, when he's like, all you got to do is remove the people that are doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And when you do this, you realize it is just the people doing the wrong thing, either because they didn't know any better or they knew better, but they knew they weren't going to get caught because, quite frankly, no one was able to pull this off in terms of process to go do.
Right.
You could do it if you want to do it yourself. It's give yourself an hour a day or more to figure it out. But that was the alternative. And obviously, that's no one's going to spend that kind of time to make it happen.
Yeah, well, I will say that as a guy who managed chefs and I was working for a company with 7 restaurants and I
Mhm.
oversaw 4 chefs and
Mhm.
we realized real fast it's like not anybody. You can write a great schedule, right? That really
Mhm.
like leans into the budget or leans into your forecasted goal and you can have all those
Mhm.
things, but it's like being able to understand why if I said I was going to spend $1,000 that I spent 1,300, or
Mhm.
God forbid if I said I was going to spend $1,000, why I only spend 700, and like
Right.
what's going on? Well, Jimmy and Terry decided to go get drunk yesterday.
Yeah.
Right, but being able to like go back the next day, and that was something that we worked on, and we, pardon me, we got the process down, right? We got it down to
Mhm.
10 or 15 minutes because you just start to
Mhm.
like, we saw Gantt charts a lot.
Mhm.
Sometimes we just saw like, one set of data, like real would be black and forecast would be like blue, and
Mhm.
so we saw it in different reports that way. But man, the idea that you can get you can get something to do it for you and really
Mhm.
spit out in real time like these are the things you need to look out for. That's
Mhm.
freaking amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we want to do is again, we didn't want to make another system that someone had to log into. So we said we have to I got good piece of advice from my college roommate. He goes, when you become part of somebody's business process, then you become indispensable. And I said, well, we think about a GM waking up first thing in the morning and They look at their phone, they got an email from GM Pilot that tells them, hey, these are the things that didn't go according to plan yesterday. So they know right away from the subject, just looking at the subject on the email, they'll see a number. The number is a UPT, unplanned paid time. This is the extra hours that people consumed that you didn't
Oh,
plan to.
wow.
If you see it and it's like a few, you're like, yeah, it's pretty probably dismissible. A few hours here or there, probably explainable in some way. You open it and you see 16, 24, and numbers like that. They're like, hold on, what's going on here? It's like I had
Right.
two extra bodies here that I didn't plan to. What's up? So now you know right away before you go anywhere else, like what do I need to go look into today? And that was the idea. We can give them the insight and tell them exactly where you need to go. Not giving them the whole picture of this is everything that happened yesterday. No, here's all the things that didn't go right according to plan. That's where you need to go figure out, is that worth my time or not worth my time to
Right.
go hunt down? And we leave it at that. Um, but yeah, so everything we do is via email. So we just want to make sure that if you open your email on your phone, you see a message from GM Pilot. That first thing that we do is called ground control. So that's where we show you all the variances, shift breaks, all the stuff we talked about to help you get control of things, right? So that's called ground
Right.
control. Along the way, we're like, all right, well, now that we got uh, kind of the bad behaviors under control, can you help us figure out efficiency? So we started
Now
looking
you're
at
talking my language.
efficiency. Yeah. And now we're like, all right, well, what's efficiency mean? And everyone's got a different definition. Now by from one of our principles is everything we do is custom to the company that we're working with. If we're working with the brand, whatever we're doing is at that moment in time is to fit in with their culture, how they look at things. So I said, all right, look, we can take in transaction data and look at how much sales are going on, but that let's say by hour. We can do it by 15 minutes. We can do it by a minute, however crazy you want to get, right? Well, let's say we do it by an hour. In that hour, we see we sold this much stuff for this much money or this many units, whatever you want to do. We also are able to go map out who was the GM at the time, who was in the kitchen, who was on the front line, and you see the entire team.
Right.
So now you can see this group as a team is what they're performing at. And then we bring in other things such as like external weather, only if it's bad weather. So if you say,
Right.
hey, if it's we're a location that if it gets cold, we get bad traffic, then okay, we'll put the ice emoji over there. So you see right away that this is all the things that could have been pushing down on your performance during
Right.
this time. If you got a bad review at that in that hour block, we'll grab it, put a angry face
Wow.
over there for you, right? Because now you can just again going back to I'm looking at it first thing in the morning on my phone. I'm thumbing through this thing and looking for, do I see an angry emoji? Do I see, you know, if I expect to see that line of people to be this big, do I see it about that big? That means
Right.
there's a lot of people there. If I just look vertically down what roles people are in, I can see, wait a second. Why did my manager disappear at 4 o'clock before dinner rush? Like
Right.
that wasn't supposed to happen. So again, all of it to be, someone like me who needs reading glasses but refuses to use them. If I can see it quickly and understand what happened and get a pulse on what happened yesterday, then great. Now I know how well I performed.
Right.
But you start to see in that top line, like what the average was, what the peak was. You can go, all right, was that a busy day? Was it not a busy day? And you can
So,
see right away where it was.
I like that. I guess
Mhm,
my question is a lot of what I've been kind of coached to look for in the last 7 or 8 years is like that.
mhm,
What you said efficiency. I would probably label it
mhm.
as productivity data,
Right.
right?
Mhm, yeah,
Metrics like covers per labor hour or sales per
mhm,
labor hour.
right.
And I guess my question is, are you able to like start to generate like kind of how that data comes in? Because there's some really interesting correlations between like overproductive, like, oh my God, we were at $120 per, sales per labor hour.
Mhm,
And all of a sudden you realize, yeah, that's great. But what did that do to the team? you know.
Mhm.
So are you able to measure some of that on a like within an account? Is that something that you guys are doing?
So we intentionally only take in numeric data. So we don't want to take anything that's like commentary, because you could say this was the hot shift to one person, that's the good thing, to another person that's the bad thing, right?
Totally.
But we can take in, like if you're doing drive-through timers, we can take in drive-through timers and go, here's what the drive-through time is looking like, right? And show that it was too high. But we do the same thing in our planning when we go. Uh, so that thing is what we call flight school. It just helps you understand how well you can perform. The other neat thing is you can see if you got two buildings that are roughly the same volume, you can see that somebody's running with a lot more labor than the other. And then it's a, hey, why are you running with so much more labor? Well, we're always busy. Well, your peer over here is doing the same thing. Let's try to figure out why you think you're so busy versus the other group. Maybe they're doing something different in prep than you are, so you can help coach each other out. Um, when we do that, we take the bottom third and move them up to the norm and kind of shrink the difference between the best and the lowest. That's another 3% of the whole network of profitability back to the network. It was just, again, we were shocked by how valuable it was just to help coach people up through flight school into where they can be. But then going back to the question of how do you make sure you don't under or overstaff yourself? When we run Flight Planner, we feed into Flight Planner how much efficiency this building you want to run it at. So if you
Right.
want your target SPLH to be a certain number, then that's how we go and build that schedule. You can set a floor, you can set a max above it, and it'll
I
go and
love that.
run calculations. Day by day, it'll try to do the best it can with that day. And then some days of the week will be different than others in terms of like one day might be 20 percent labor, the other day might be 18, and another day might be 22. But at the end of it all, it shows you it blended out to 20% for the week. That's hitting your goal. If it runs into, hey, I couldn't find a manager to plug in for Saturday, it'll let you know there wasn't a manager available, so I couldn't achieve that goal for you. But again, it's meant to look like it's some a human behind the scenes punching away, building the schedule, handing to the GM and saying, "I here's what I've done, and if you don't make any changes, I'm publishing it in 2 days to make sure we get it published on time." So
Right.
if the GM does nothing, the schedule always goes out on time. It's always optimized to whoever's available and what your most recent traffic is looking like too. So we got away from the whole here's a lunch shift, a dinner shift, and a mid shift. And we looked at when are people really coming in the building. And so that curve is what we shape it against.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Just the science and the technology of it all.
Mhm.
But I
Yeah.
think for me, as a dyed in the wool operator, like
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
ability to find a tool um, that can get those GMs, those, as you said, I would call them fresher, not
Yeah.
necessarily younger, but
Right.
fresher, right?
Yeah.
Like
Pressure. Yep.
they're
Mhm.
they're fresher in the industry, and I mean, let's be real. COVID's shallow really made the talent pool in
Yeah.
the restaurant
Mhm.
industry shallower than it had
Mhm.
been. But I
Yeah.
think anything we can do to get back on the floor, it's
Yeah.
funny. As you're talking about this, what's ringing really true in my head is that is an old DO I had years ago, and she used to
Mhm.
say when you're looking at restaurants and you're looking at how you market your restaurants, the best marketing you ever do is your
Mhm.
day-to-day behavior, right?
Yeah.
Your day-to-day
Right.
behavior, getting taking care of your guests, that is how
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
run a great restaurant. That is how you build a restaurant business, by the
Mhm.
things you do within your four walls. And I think that anytime we can find a way to get the some of the most important people back out on the floor doing their job, coaching, teaching, supporting all of
Mhm.
the frontline employees, I think it's a win. So
Yeah.
nice
Absolutely.
job, man. I'm
Thanks,
free.
man.
I approve.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Well, let me let me tell you something we're working on. That'll it's going to be announced probably in a couple weeks.
Okay.
So exactly what your DO said, like right, it's the guest is in front of you. If we can perform well, that's the best piece of marketing, and the best piece of sales you can get is if they're already in front of you. That's the right
Right.
opportunity to sell them a drink, get them an appetizer, get them a dessert, get them something to go. They're right in front of you. Now,
Right.
as a server, it's generally been, hey, I'm getting paid roughly the same no matter what I do. And, yeah, I'll get some tips, maybe. However, what we decided to do with some of our customers that are asking for it, so we created a program called Top Gun. So with Top Gun, we're looking for people that are doing something above and beyond the norm, whether that's growing sales, growing sign up into the loyalty program, always having great reviews, always showing up to work on time, whatever behaviors you want to really identify and recognize and potentially even reward, we're able to go do that with Top Gun. Now we'll do that behind the scenes, uh, generate a certificate or whatever the brand wants to do in terms of recognition. So you can go print and stick it on the wall. The other upside to it is that if you want to now, let's say, give your employee some more cash to spend within your building, we've got a partner that'll help us do that. Or if you wanted to give them some more cash to spend outside your building, we've got a partner to do that as well too. So now all the incentive programs to, hey, if you do above and beyond, we want to recognize and reward you for it. We don't want you to stop doing that because you don't feel seen. We want to make sure that that's seen and rewarded as well too. So with that
Nice.
Top Gun engine coming next quarter, that's what we're going to be able to do. So again, going back to what can we do to lift the culture in the building, get the GMs back on the floor, talking to their employees and talking to the guests, then everyone wins. And that's what we started off to do in the beginning.
That's awesome. I love it. I do. I love that you have really leaned into the pilot and plane sort of thing,
Yeah, right.
being the guy that is the
Hmm.
culinary mechanic. I was in
Hmm.
line at the grocery store recently and happen to have this shirt on,
Yeah.
and the checker says, "So does that mean you fix ovens?" I was like, "No, man.
Yeah,
No, I fix the thing back behind the oven. I help the
yeah,
chefs really
right.
move their world forward."
Hmm.
Um, this has become my newest, funnest question, newest, like
Hmm.
most favorite question, and that is, what's a win in your day, man? Like, how does how do you define a win for you?
If I can save somebody from something that's going to hurt them, then that's a win for me.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Um, and then have you got any,
Hmm.
similar sort of thing, but like,
Hmm.
what are the things in your current work world or your current
Hmm.
environment that are just that bring out like the visceral reaction, the good, positive, like adrenaline pumping, like little veins in the
Hmm.
neck? Like, what's that work for you?
For me, when right now I'm really geeking out on this idea of, if we are supporting a GM and running a really good building, right, and running a really good restaurant, then what is that going to do to the people that work there, the people that eat there, and the community around it? Because, you've been in the game a long time. I've been around watching restaurants come and go, and, they have a great recipe, maybe some great decor, uh, maybe some generally good staff, but they just don't stay consistent with it. And I
Right.
see restaurants come and go, and I'm like, darn, I really loved eating there. They're not there
No.
anymore. But,
Oh,
for us, it's like, hey, if we can help them just do better, focus on the things that really matter to the guest, then we've done our part to help. And that's what's really exciting about it.
awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think all of those things for me really lead to one of the most important things, and that is like at this point, it's got to be retention, right? Like
Mhm.
getting to enact with our teams, getting to be the leader that they need, right? Because
Mhm.
as I said to somebody recently, just so you know, people want to be led because ain't nobody drifting to greatness.
Yeah,
Right?
it's true.
Nobody's
That's
just
true.
like sliding into greatness, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
Mhm.
concerted, focused effort. And I think that that is, a lot of what you're enabling. And so I really like it. Um, hey man, thank you so much for coming to play in my
Oh,
sandbox.
no, thank you.
I dig it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Um, tell us how tell
Mhm.
us how to find you. Tell us how to find GM Pilot. Tell me how we find you, man.
Yeah. Easy. It's gmpilot.com,
Okay.
or on LinkedIn, you can find me. It's a Cijoy, and so probably only see one of me with GM Pilot. So this will be easy to find me. Or if
Awesome.
you're coming to RLC in a couple weeks, I'll be there for that event. I'll probably be at NRA and at RFDC, and probably at FS Tech as well this year.
Nice. Very, very nice. I'm hoping to get to the NRA show. We'll see. Just came back
Mhm.
from Vegas for the Bar and Restaurant
Yeah.
Expo, and that was a lot
Yeah.
of fun. We'll
Mhm.
see what allows us.
Yeah.
To all you out there, please go give us a review on YouTube. Follow, like, all of the above. Um, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. But most importantly, just keep listening because I really appreciate it. And we'll catch you on the flip side.